It's Jim Csek with KelownaNow. I have on the line with me our managing editor, Ian Burns, and we're going to go through the stuff you need to know. And it's a really big show. I don't know who said that. Really big show. We got a really big show today. Ed Sullivan, for the people in the audience that have no idea what I'm trying to say, right? So we're going to start off with David Eby and some of the promises he says he's committed to keep. So we're going to play that tweet there from Premier David Eby.
We've elected some great MLAs from outside the Lower Mainland, but you're right. I do see an urban-rural divide in the election results. That's very concerning to me. We need to govern for the entire province. We need to represent the entire province, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that we're finding ways to reach out to and engage rural communities and make sure that they're seeing themselves in the legislature as well. It's a province where we only succeed together. If one part of the province is not successful, then the whole province is going to struggle. We need to work together as British Columbians. That was a big message during the campaign, and one that we saw in the results as well. That we're going to have to do better on. The commitment we made to British Columbians was we weren't going to force them to choose between a government that took climate change seriously and would take action on climate change, and them being able to cover their grocery costs and cover their rent. We know that people are struggling with affordability. So yes, we will keep our commitment to British Columbians. If the federal government moves away from the backstop, we will get rid of the carbon tax, and we remain committed to addressing the struggles that people are having in our streets with mental health and addiction.
Well, there you go. We brought that up to the Premier ourselves, that seems like the interior and much of BC is always forgotten, that most of the concentration seems to be on the Lower Mainland. And it's good to hear him say that he's actually going to start listening, including on the carbon tax. Any thoughts on that, Ian?
Yeah, well, it's he listed just about everything that he flipped on during that press conference, and the only one that he held the ground on, and the only one in that press conference too that he refused to budge on, was the Soji stuff,
right? Which
I believe is probably more controversial in the interior as well. Anyway, so that's another area of confrontation perhaps from down the line.
Well, the interior is still suffering. We're going to talk about a little bit later that even employment numbers in the Thompson Okanagan are at lows. So it's not a great scene in the Okanagan wildfires, all that other kind of stuff too, right? So BC middle school teacher stripped of certificate after pleading guilty to sexual assault. That story's on KelownaNow. This is not the first run-in for this guy.
No, well, he was disciplined, not a criminal charge. It was a year earlier, I think. Yeah, he was disciplined for a sexual harassment, I think they said, the commissioner. And then the following year pleaded guilty to sexual assault and assault.
And now they're finally taking away his teaching certificate. Kelowna hits another top 10 list. Not a list that we want to be on again. Number 4 for the rattiest city in Canada. Nice, hey?
We've done quite a lot of stories on this over the years, haven't we?
Yeah.
I believe Kent once did an in-depth one.
Yeah, on how to catch a rat too, right? So we do. If you're looking for how to catch a rat, you can go on KelownaNow. You can search rats or something like that. Orkin is the pest control thing that names Canada's top 25 rattiest cities, and we happen to make that list there. 12 of the top 25 spots happen to be in British Columbia. So rats seem to love British Columbia.
Mild weather, maybe. That's what they like.
Mild weather for sure. Yes, agreed. And we just talked about ER closures. No, we don't put that one up yet. ER closures. There's a story on KelownaNow. It's the 11th time for a BC Interior ER department that's closed.
Yep. No, it's not quite up there with Oliver, I believe. That has the worst record. But it was a lack of nurses for this one.
And that was 1 hour's notice in this one. And this one is where, 100 Mile House? What was the...
100 Mile House, yeah.
100 Mile House. And then Oliver has that record of 35 plus from January till now, right?
Yep. It's the same old hospitals again and again, really, isn't it?
It is, for sure. And most of them happen to be in the more rural areas of British Columbia. And we brought that up to David Eby as well. And there's a story we're going to be working on, that the employment rate falls in the Thompson Okanagan. We're going to get Steve McNall to take a look at that and see what's going on there. And then let's now you can bring up that Christia Freeland there. Freeland says secret vote on Trudeau is not how Liberals govern themselves, but it seems like some of the Liberals have decided that they would rather do it a different way than what Christie and Justin think, right? So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Justin continues to say that he's going to be running in the next election.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? I mean, if the groundswell is significant enough, then it doesn't really matter what Christie Freeland says, does it? They'll find a way to get him out.
Mm-hmm. It seems odd that, she was the target of Justin Trudeau just recently when they were talking about replacing her with Mark Carney. And, she's staying loyal to the end, I guess.
Supposedly he was briefing against her, but nothing on the record. But yeah.
And then Sweden and Norway rethinking cashless society. I think a lot of different countries are rethinking this cashless society because it is definitely, there's a lot of people that want to continue to use cash. But we've seen some even stores here in Canada that have gone, I don't think it's Starbucks you can use cash, and some of them, maybe some of them are bringing it back. But yeah, it definitely leads to, making it more vulnerable. And if people are, that are scared of it too, say that if, you do something wrong and they just take away your ability to spend money by shutting down your digital access. Yeah.
And also there's a question for businesses, I suppose, because cash is a lot cheaper for them, isn't it, to process? Yeah,
there's no, you're not given a cut. Like if you look at Visas and MasterCards, up to 3%, that's they take off each transaction.
Mm. Even higher for Amex, isn't it?
Yes. And AI's ability to exploit digital weakness will become superhuman. I started watching this. You set this one up for me. I started watching this one, and it was really kind of dry. But it turns out this guy is supposedly the godfather of AI, and he's he wants he's saying that there's some real scary stuff that could happen with AI because it doesn't get bored when it's looking at things that are. Like most people get bored and not really want to get into it, but AI can be persistent.
Yeah. Well, I suppose when you try to hack into someone else's system, I mean, anybody that's seen computer code knows that it's astonishingly boring, isn't it, to go through? Yeah. So I imagine that it makes sense that AI would be good at that.
Yeah, for sure. And some good news here. I guess if you're flying to PG all the time, Pacific Coastal is now flying between Kelowna and Prince George, a new route that was just announced there out at YLW.
Yeah.
I've flown in those small planes. You can't even stand up full height, and I'm not that tall. So you got to kind of walk, crouch down to get into your seat. But hey, they're small planes and they get there pretty quick, so that's great. And we have an image to show you of Dubai and Singapore. Look like some pretty modern cities. It's pretty impressive. I just saw that on the X platform there, and they've become economic hubs in their own rights. And part of the thing is that they're very strong free market practices, and then their tax rates are really low in those areas. And in Dubai, there is no personal tax at all, and the corporate taxes are really low. No personal income taxes in Dubai, and corporate taxes varies, but they're generally low. And both cities offer favorable tax environments, and they attract a lot of global investment. And if you look at Canada and look at some of our cities recently, the reason I bring this up is that we have more resources than most of the world, and we don't manage our resources well, and we should be building these beautiful modern cities. Any thoughts on that?
Singapore's architectural style is gorgeous, isn't it, with all the trees everywhere?
Yeah, I think both of them are just unbelievable. Again, we're going to move into the price of gold. Again, new high again today. We're going to have Scott Deedles in at just after 10. We're going to talk about the price of gold, and we're going to talk about the price of Bitcoin, both of them breaking out into highs in basically all currencies, even the US dollar today. If we look at the Bitcoin chart, that's up next there. Bitcoin breaking out as well. There you go. Looks pretty impressive for those things. And then iOS 18.1 launched with Apple Intelligence. You got some stuff going on there. We're just waiting. I'll just pull that one slide. Hey, no problem. We're trying to do a lot of slides here. iOS 18 launched, and then a lot of people are saying, if you look at the next slide, that Apple Intelligence isn't that intelligent. So that was an image made by Grok. So there you go. They're saying it's pretty basic right now. So Apple Intelligence, we'd love to hear some of the feedback from people on Apple Intelligence. I don't have it on my phone. I'm looking at getting a 16 and trying it out. And then we got something that shows you how impressive SpaceX actually is. It's just like a little bit of eye candy here. If we can play that. Do we have the ability to play that? Let me take that image off of there. Oh, that image and that image. There you go. Look at that. That's how we get to Mars. The next window opens, I think, in the next 18 months or something like that, because it's every two years. The window is open to fly to Mars. It's a 6-month trip. Their first trip is going to be an unmanned trip. I think they're going to go in the next, well, according to Elon Musk, they're on their way to Mars. They're planning for that window that's coming up. And then following that, 2 years later, in the next one, I think it's 26 months, they'll be going with a manned crew if everything goes well. How do you sign up for that? 6 months. 6 months there, 6 months back. I don't know how long you have to stay there. And then there's a little bit of Tesla put out a little bit on the CyberCab, a little video we're going to play for you as well. Just showing you what you can expect in the next. They say in Palo Alto this thing could be happening right away. The CyberCab will start functioning. Well, it'll be the Model 3s and Ys first, and the CyberCab is looking for production in the next by 2026. Volume production. So there you go. You get in that vehicle. It doesn't have doesn't have pedals or steering wheel, and it's all completely autonomous. You have an entertainment screen in front of you to watch. You can work. You can do whatever you want to do. You can sleep, and you can get to work. And then you don't have to buy a car. You're just going to use it's basically a ride-hail service on its own. Pretty impressive. And then again, just a reminder: Halloween is coming up right away, Thursday, right? Have you got your costume there for the kids yet? You got it all figured out there, Ian?
Yep, everything is in order.
Everything's in order? What are your little ones going as?
I actually don't know about my son, but my daughter's going as a pumpkin.
There you go. And what are you going as?
That's off the menu, I think.
A pumpkin shepherd. Hey, how about that?
That's a good idea. What are you going as?
I don't know. I have no idea. Maybe we'll dress up for the show. Like you'll dress up too. And then obviously Super Tuesday coming up. This is the big one. The rhetoric is amped right up there on this. I think at the Madison Square Gardens, a comedian opened up and he called the floating pile of garbage out there. And he called it Puerto Rico or something like that, and it was his opening joke. And then the response from the president of the United States, Joe Biden, was that all the Trump supporters are garbage, and that's created a maelstrom out there. Eh?
Very interesting subject for grammar nerds, because the White House released a statement featuring a transcript which included an apostrophe, so that it read Trump supporters as in one single supporter, and they meant that comedian. But
right.
If you want, you have to watch the video yourself, really, to make that determination. But it's quite an interesting one for people that are interested in the English language.
The rhetoric is way up there. I mean, they're now comparing that to when Hillary Clinton, when she was running in the presidential race, calling Trump supporters deplorables. So we went from deplorables to garbage. So,
well, Romney as well also had one of those gaffes, didn't he, where he spoke about some percentage of the country that doesn't contribute or something like that, didn't he?
Well, there you go. That's our show for today, unless there's something else you wanted to cover off this morning, Ian?
No, I think that's pretty comprehensive.
That's our really big show. There you go. Your need to know this morning. Again, follow us on X, follow us on YouTube. We've got a newsletter that goes out 365, 7 days a week. Ian puts that together. And then we also have our other platforms as well. The KelownaNow, come to KelownaNow.com. Updated 24/7, 365 days a year. We put stories up, and we always love feedback too. And I've gone hatless for a few days now. And we've got there's our traffic report again. If we leave that there, you can see that we've got a few things flicking on the screen there, but that's all okay. We're working on all the technical stuff, but in our traffic report, it looks like the traffic's flowing really nice and easy, and looks like another beautiful fall day in the Okanagan. And with that said, we'll see you tomorrow with your Need to Know. I'm Jim Csek with KelownaNow and Ian Burns.
We don't just report the news. We live here too. We're your neighbors, bringing you stories that matter.